That might be the one dumb thing sparrows do. Dumb sparrows. Why would they keep it so low?
Maybe it's because the young aren't great flyers, and so they're worried about that crash landing.
Gotta be.
I mean,
Gotta be the dumb. It's always about the dumb kids. Yeah. No, I can dig that. Hey, Steve.
Hi, Greg.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Man, it's been a day. It's been a day. Yeah.
Day?
It's been a long day. And we just discovered that we're like a married old couple and there's no spontaneity left for you and me.
I think we can reclaim it.
All right. So I thought we'd start this episode by reminding people of our Instagram, BirdBrag, and our YouTube channel, and our, what else do we need? Twitter?
The Twitter box, yeah. And then, we put up a picture today, and there'll be some more probably later this week.
Sweetness. So, all right.
Exciting.
Welcome to BirdBrag, everybody. Episode 14. Episode 13 was wild. It was crazy.
My favorite one so far, I think, although I haven't listened yet. I got to be forthright here. I feel bad because you put so much work into it after, and then I didn't. Yeah,
we send it to the editing staff, and they really bust their ass to get that stuff out there. I haven't had any feedback. You know, it's interesting. Big Roy hasn't even discussed episode 13 yet.
No, but
unless you heard something.
He posted to Twitter that he gets excited whenever he hears a new episode dropping. So he was texting asking when the next episode was. I wonder if he thought we quit.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, well, it could happen at any time. It really could. All right, as we always start, what are you drinking, Steve?
Old Faithful, Greg. Miller Lite again.
You know, you've been consistent. It's really hard to beat that. But for the new listeners, Miller Lite is the drink of choice for BirdBrag. Our goal, hope, is that someday we get sponsored by Miller and Miller Lite because we love that gosh darn beer. It's good.
I think we're getting close.
Really. And you know what? I've been not consistent. So thanks for asking. What I'm drinking today is... So this I got my rocks, but I'm going wackadoodle today. Whoop, 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 whoop. You know, Crystal Skull Vodka. Do you know what this is?
I have seen it. I don't think I've ever tasted it.
It's Dan Aykroyd's vodka.
Okay.
And there is a whole Scientology bent to the reason why it's called Crystal Skull. And I would never have bought this for myself. This is obviously a gift. The great thing about being a middle-aged man in this country is that Amazon's blown it for everybody because everyone just gets whatever they want. They don't wait. There's no special occasions. You don't do it. So the de facto gift is booze. It's easy, you know? I mean, for me. So, all right, I'm going to pour myself a glass, but that Crystal Skull Vodka. And for the listeners who don't know, the bottle is a crystal skull. Not like a crystal skull on the bottle. The bottle is in the shape of a skull.
It's classy. Very classy.
So I'm going to go I was going to do a martini and then I was a real weenie pour. But then decided to go for this. Huh. And it's like, I love, you know, Steve, we've talked about this. It's early evening here, and I love starting my evening with a vodka martini. It just does me right. All right. Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers, Greg.
All right. I don't even ask anymore if there's choices. I just know that you're going to lay on whatever you're going to lay on. So what are we talking about today?
You didn't seem to respond really good to choices at the beginning. You kind of seemed like you didn't.
I didn't.
It seemed like you were just like, just tell me what we're doing.
Oh, I often come across that way. It's like when someone asks me like what to watch on TV. Well, I don't know. What do you want to watch? Just pick something. No, they're like, no, what do you really want to watch? Like, then tell me. And I'm like, I don't know. So I could come across that way.
Yeah, but you didn't need it.
Well, did I get a choice one time? Did you give me a choice?
At the beginning, we had some choices, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But the problem with choices is that it makes it harder for me.
Yeah, because now you got to prepare two ways.
Yeah. Not that I need any preparation for this. So I know what you're thinking. Here we are. It's episode 14.
14. Is that
And
a hint?
You're thinking, no, but you're thinking, we haven't even talked about a sparrow yet. No sparrows.
No, we haven't had a single sparrow.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, that's probably one of the things that people think about. So today we're going to be talking about the Lark Sparrow.
The Lark Sparrow. All right.
It was named the Lark Sparrow because it's got a really neat song. So, a lot of the old world larks are known for their singing. So that's why it got the name Lark Sparrow.
Do you have the song for us today? Are we at some point we're going to do that?
I was planning on it, but I'll probably forget like I usually do.
Then let's do it now. If it's named after its song, I think it's appropriate that we do it.
Yeah, I like it. So, all right, here we go.
All right. Nice. All right.
Kind of a little R2D2 in there.
A little bit, little squeaky toy in the middle of that guy too. Yeah, I like it. All right. So paint the picture for the Lark Sparrow.
So as far as sparrows go, it's a little bit on the big side, but it's also kind of thinner and longer tailed than some of the other sparrows. A lot of sparrows you kind of think of as being kind of plump and portly, but this one's a little thinner. And so it's probably about 15 centimeters long, 28 centimeter wingspan, and weighs about 30 grams, which of course is 1/12 of a Miller Lite.
Oh, I like it. I'm making a note. We're going to relate every animal we talk about in how many Miller Lites. Yes, that we're going to. I'm going to make a little note. Okay. That idea. I didn't really make a note, but I pretended to make a note.
So that's how big they are, but they're pretty striking bird. A lot of sparrows and most sparrows, they're all kind of browns and blacks, and this one's no exception. But it's got a really neat facial pattern. So it's got a kind of a chestnut crown on top of the head, and then like a light eye stripe that's either cream or white, or sometimes it can be kind of like a reddish cream, a real light reddish. And then it has where you would think of its ear being, it has a big chestnut patch that's really neat. And then another white stripe, and then a dark kind of, they call it a mailer stripe, but it's basically a mustache stripe. So a dark mustache stripe. So it's got this really intricate head pattern on its.
Well, what the coincidental thing is, chestnut patch was my nickname in high school.
Really?
Yeah.
What? I'm not going to ask.
I mean, what a quinkening. I mean, that's pretty descriptive. That's pretty amazing description you just laid out on us. I mean, that might be the best. That might be the best picture you've painted in a while.
That's just the head, Greg.
Tell me more. Tell me more.
As with most sparrows, it's got a pretty thick bill, and it's kind of a conical shape. So it's, round and cross section. And most sparrows, because they eat a lot of seeds, have thick bills. And then its chest and belly are kind of off-white or light gray, but they have a black spot right in the middle of their breast, which is kind of neat. Mm-hmm. And then I said they have a long tail, and their tail comes down. And one of the ways sometimes you can identify them if they're in a flock of other sparrows, like in the winter, if you see a mixed flock of sparrows, is when they fly up, you can see on the outer part of their tail and on the bottom edge of their tail, they have white tail feathers that kind of stand out when they fly.
How many different, is there lots of different sparrows, like lots of different types of sparrows? And you said you'll see some like different types of sparrows together sometime?
Yeah, in the wintertime, sometimes you get these mixed flocks of sparrows because they're all kind of, they're not defending territories or anything like that. And they're all going to these areas that have, a bounty of seeds that they can eat during the winter. So they eat more seeds in the winter when there's less insect activity. But in the spring and summer, they will eat quite a few insects. So even though they have that seed-eating bill, they do eat a lot of insects during the breeding season and summer. But yeah, in the winter, you'll find mixed flocks of sparrows. Sometimes, they won't be mixed, but oftentimes they will.
Okay, that's pretty amazing. Let's talk about their lifespan. How long these guys live? So
the longest lifespan on record of anyone that I ever saw was just about 10 years. So obviously that's not the norm, but They, given good conditions and a little bit of luck, they can make it pretty far.
Well, I mean, especially compared, like where we talked about some of the other guys that have a pretty limited lifespan, that living a decade seems pretty good.
Well, and like I said, most of them don't make it that long, but I
mean, the lucky ones won't even see it out through Trump's presidency, but this guy's seen, you could see multiple presidents.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure when he was actually alive to see which presidents that he knew, but I mean, he could have gone through a lot for sure.
Yeah. All right. And then what I usually ask before is, where do we find these guys geographically? Where would we find the Lark Sparrow? And then maybe compared to other sparrows worldwide, do we find? Yeah,
there's sparrows, different sparrows all over. It's a pretty well represented family. The Lark Sparrow in particular, it's kind of an open habitat sparrow, so it likes these wide open spaces, like not a lot of trees and shrubs and things like that, grasslands, a lot of them in the Great Plains. But this bird is pretty much a North American bird. It's a bird of the American West, although it goes all the way to probably about the Appalachians in the East. But I think they are declining in the East a little bit. And then they breed all the way up just into southern Canada, and then all the way down into northern Mexico. And then they some of them migrate, some of them don't. And the ones that do migrate don't go very far, but they will go a little farther down into Mexico in the wintertime. But they don't breed down too far past the United States border.
Migratory?
Some of them are, and some of them aren't. And the ones that are, they're not, long distance migrants or anything like that. They probably just moving around to take advantage of better winter conditions. It's tough to get seeds where there's a lot of snow cover and things like that.
Got it. All right. What else before I start asking some of my favorite questions? What do we got?
I think we should go
right to it.
Well, maybe right before we go to it, let's talk a little bit about, they have a little bit of kind of an elaborate breeding thing that we might want to cover, which is pretty unique among sparrows. I mean, I'm sure you've seen at the Parkway by your house, the turkeys that kind of strut around trying to attract hens and things like that. But these little sparrows have a pretty neat kind of ritual of their own. So the male, he starts kind of hopping up and down on the ground.
All right. I like it already.
He kind of sticks his tail out to the side.
Shakes his tail feather.
And flares him out. So flares his tail feathers out.
To the side.
A little bit to the side. Yeah.
And he's trying to show off. This is his dance move.
Yeah. There's always a girl watching when he's doing this.
Yeah. Okay.
And then he droops his wings, and the wingtips almost touch the ground. Kind of like when turkeys do that. You know how they put their wingtips down when they're displaying, and they fan their tail feather out. So it's almost kind of like that. But then the coup de grace.
There's more.
When the female decides she's ready and she's receptive, then the male, because
very white,
he's a hopeless romantic.
Yeah.
He will take a small twig or maybe several twigs.
Oh, stop it.
Give them to her.
Oh.
And then
adorable.
And then it's on.
Bow, 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 bow. All right, let me get this right. Tail feather to the side.
And flared out.
Flared out. Wings down. A hop. I forgot the hop. Hop.
Yeah, the hop at the beginning.
Yeah. Hop, tail, flared, wings, and then a gift.
You're going to use this the next club you go to, huh?
Yeah, no, I'm already planning. I kind of do this stuff already. Like if I'm really thinking about, my mating ritual, it's all pretty much the same thing. It's like, all right, wait a minute. Tail feather, wings, and then gift. It's like one of my favorite scenes in any movie ever is Shake Your Tail Feather and Blues Brothers. So it's like the ultimate dance, like citywide Chicago, love letter to Chicago as they're singing it and dancing to it. It's just, so when I hear anything about tail feathers, let alone that ornate, it's pretty exciting. Yeah. Reminds me, just the word reminds me of it. All right. So I don't think we've really discussed a mating ritual.
I don't think we have either
so far. So this is kind of interesting that they would have such a specific, or maybe not specific, but kind of unique thing. But the gift, come on, you got me at that one.
I mean, what girl's going to say no?
All right. If they're that romantic, their nest, their bed has to be, it's like a king size waterbed, right? Warmed. What do they do for the nest?
Sometimes the female will repurpose an old nest from another species, like a mockingbird or a thrasher, but they will build their own nest, and it's usually a deep cup nest, and it's made primarily out of grasses. And then on the inside, it's lined with either finer grasses or like horsehair sometimes, or cattle hair right in the center. And it's usually built on the ground, although sometimes they'll build it a few feet up in a shrub.
I wouldn't have thought that. I would have thought that a sparrow would have been would be up high. Everything else seems pretty smart. That doesn't seem as smart. It seems like, that might be the one dumb thing sparrows do. Dumb sparrows. Why would they keep it so low?
Maybe it's because the young aren't great flyers, and so they're worried about that crash landing.
Gotta be. Gotta be the dumb. It's always about the dumb kids. Yeah. No, I can dig that. Where are we going with the next question? You know what I'm about to ask. You don't even have to pretend.
I want to hear it.
How big's their clutch size? Let's talk. Let's talk clutch size.
Okay.
How big?
So they typically lay between 3 to 6 eggs, and they'll have 1 to 2 broods per season. The eggs are a couple centimeters long, so not huge, a little less than an inch. And they're typically creamy colored, and they have like dark spots and lines and markings on them, probably a little bit to camouflage them since they are on the ground. And so then this is going to probably blow your mind a little bit, because I remember how amazed you were hearing the hummingbirds, like after they hatched, they only took like 3 weeks before they were flying.
Right. And full size. These
guys, they lay their eggs and they incubate them for 11 or 12 days before they hatch. But then in 10 to 12 days, they're out of the nest. And what they do, since they're on the ground, they can take these short flights, when they're just learning to fly. And from then they can leave the nest, and then the adults will help them, forage and teach them how to hunt for the insects and stuff that they need. A lot of times young birds need a lot of protein because they're growing so quick. So even if it's a seed-eating bird, they'll eat insects when they're young, and the adults will feed them insects just so they can put on that muscle and grow.
Put on some weight.
Fast. Yeah.
All right. What else you got?
Oh, you know what? Oh, never mind.
What? So, what? You got real excited there. People who've watched the YouTube knows when Steve gets excited. Well, you can hear it. He gets real close to the mic. He gets real excited, but he leans in. His whole face is like the screw. He keeps moving closer and closer. And
maybe we'll get back to that.
We're getting back to something?
Maybe.
Right.
But one thing, we did talk about their migration a little bit. They're not super migratory, but interestingly, and I'm not sure how this happens, unless it's, again, the Albuquerque birds, but there are a couple records from Western Europe and Great Britain specifically.
They Bugs Bunny did again.
Yeah.
They made a list at Albuquerque.
I don't even know how.
So are we thinking people are smuggling these guys? Like, how are they getting there? What's going on?
It's possible
that they're stowing away on boats or something, are they?
I don't think these guys would, because that's not typically their habitat would be, anywhere near that. But, maybe they get picked up in some kind of storm system and they're just basically staying aloft until they get over there. I don't know.
They get Wizard of Oz?
Could be.
Stop it.
It's funny because
caught up in a storm system blowing 3,000 miles across the Atlantic.
I don't know. that's how they think some dragonflies end up like in Iceland and things like that. But it's kind of when they do find unusual records like that, they typically people go to great lengths to prove that or try to prove as best they can that they're not, escaped pets and things like that.
Do we believe in wormholes? Are we going to a quantum physics space where these guys could quantum leap to a different part of the planet?
I'm not ready to go there yet.
Okay.
But if you can give me some, solid proof or evidence,
it doesn't fit in with the many worlds theories of, a lot of quantum. I mean, it's not the exact thing what we're talking about, but there's a lot of wackadoodle stuff. I don't buy that either, but I'm just saying I was curious. I like goading people into telling me their wacky beliefs so I can make fun of them later. Just ask my cousin that one. He's learned that lesson a few times.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so then I know it's kind of a thing I think we should cover most of the time from now on, but we talked a little bit about in last episode about the water ouzel, being the name for the American Dipper.
We're going to get into the etymology of the names now?
Well, we're going to go before the, AOU made all these standardized names.
Right.
This one bird also had some other names. Well, and still, because people still.
This specific one, the Lark Sparrow, or just sparrows in general?
Yeah. So it's also sometimes called the little meadowlark.
The little
meadowlark.
Okay. So you know what that reminds me of?
I don't, but sometime we'll do an episode on the meadowlark. But what does it remind you of? I do know what.
Oh, you know where I'm going? I'm going to write it down right now, and then I want you to tell me what I'm thinking.
You're going Harlem Globetrotter.
Boom, kaboom. Yeah, meadowlark lemon people. For you don't know, but yes, of course, that's
right.
So well, I mean, do we like little meadowlark better than Lark Sparrow?
I'm fine with either one of them, but
okay.
There's a couple other names.
Lay it on me.
Quailhead. And
that's a slang. Stop. That's just. I mean, let's not get into name calling right now.
This is a family podcast.
Yeah.
And the road bird. So I don't know if you see them on roads quite a bit, but it's also somewhere maybe you don't want to go on this podcast.
Yeah. I don't know. That's pretty great. Man, I do think the naming is now, that's a thing. That's now a thing.
And it's funny that it took me that long to before it came up, because I love those old names.
I do too. I think that it's a really cool part that people would like. So, and as people are listening to this, we're really getting into our groove. Like we know our formula now. We've kind of hit what we like because we don't care what you guys like. We care what we like. But it took us 13 episodes to get there, but I'm pretty happy we got there on that. Yeah.
What's going to happen in episode 26 that we're really going to like?
Oh, dude. Well, are you going to give a preview? Are you going to, at the end of this, you're going to tell people what's going on in episode 15? Or are we sure about that yet? Okay, we'll talk about that.
I'm sure about it. about it.
Oh, I like when you get
one thing I'm not sure about. Okay.
What?
Do we need to go?
Yes, we're talking about it. Are we talking about the same thing? We're talking about this.
We're talking about the base off.
Yes. All right. Wait, before we get there, anything more? Are we gonna have we wrapped it up with the Lark Sparrow?
I think we've covered him pretty good.
All right. So everybody knows this sound right here. But there's a twist. We're gonna play something new for you right here. So let's take a listen real quick. All right. It's Base Off time.
I didn't realize this was going to be for the studio audience. I thought you were deciding.
No. Why? I mean, this would be a missed opportunity.
I agree.
Let's tell you a little story. So I'm gonna play the first one again. Here it goes. All right. And now I'm going to play something brand new, hot off the presses right here. Okay. So for people who missed the last episode, I think you have to tell a little bit of the story.
So just to make it,
there's no getting the story wrong too. Yeah. Take your time.
So the first cut is the one we've been using for a few episodes now, that was sent to us unsolicited by a mutual friend's brother. Yeah. And he sent us several bass riffs.
And it was a winner right away. Like he said maybe to replace the opening track, our theme music, but we're kind of married. Yeah, we're married. Who knew? We're married to it. So it's the transition to our second part of the show and stuff. But then what happened after somebody heard that? So
I have a really good friend who is also, for some unknown reason, a bass player. This is primary, not like moonlighting in the bass, but he loves the bass, in love with the bass. And he had actually asked me after he heard your riff for the opening, do you guys need some stuff? I'm like, no, I think we're all right. We don't need anything. Who needs a bass riff? And then this happened, and of course he's an avid listener. And he was mad when we played the first bass riff.
What did you? And what was his quote when he was laying down a track to try to beat that riff? He was playing mad. He was playing mad. Playing mad. He said he told you he's playing mad.
Yeah. So that second one is the product of him, because we said, okay, the only way to make this right is to make it bass off, and we'll let the public decide.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a vote, and I think we have to decide which medium. We're not going to let willy-nilly comments on YouTube and then comments on Insta, and like, where do we want people to vote, and how do we want people to vote? I am saying it's either Insta or Twitter that we're going to ask.
Okay.
We're going to make them listen to the episode to vote. We're not just going to put the bass riffs out there somewhere, right?
Yeah, probably should do that. So maybe we'll do it on Insta, because we have the most loyal following there so far.
So we'll hashtag bass off. Hashtag no. Hashtag BirdBrag bass off is going to be there.
Bass, of course.
You have to use hashtag BirdBrag bass off to vote.
Yes.
And what are we going to call the two tracks? How do we distinguish?
Well, I think we should call
last names, Martin versus
McMillin.
So who's the easier one to spell? So Mick.
Mick.
Yeah. So Martin versus Mick.
I like it.
You can pick BirdBrag, hashtag BirdBrag bass off, and then you have to pick Martin or Mick. Martin is the first track. Mick is the new track you just heard today. But oh my God, I'm so pumped.
So you'll go to our Instagram. We'll have a little photo there with kind of solicitation for your votes, and lay it on us. We really want to know.
All right.
It's important.
So time for and stuff. We've played enough bass riffs. We're not going to play it again. So time for and stuff. And what I'm going to talk about today is kind of controversial. We're still going coronavirus, COVID-19. I, for the first time in 3 months, flew on a commercial airline, and I'll tell you about my experience. And I typically do between, I think it's like 60 or 80 flights a year, because maybe sometimes more depending, but because we have my business is in San Diego, my family's in Sacramento, so I'm constantly going up and down. Easy flight, easy airports, two of the best airports in the world, Sacramento and San Diego for domestic flying. I love them both. It was weird. I got to tell you, what's interesting, and I just feel this all over, the hushed tones. Like, no one wants to be loud. Everyone wants to be quiet. They're even over the intercom. They're like, please go to your like, it's hard to even hear. No music. Forget music. No bar. No airport bar. That's shut down. That's not there. And so then luckily there was only like 60 people on my flight, and on Southwest flights, those 737s, they usually, I don't know how many seats, it's like 130, 140. So it was like a third full, maybe a little more.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was interesting, and my family didn't freak out. They didn't like make me quarantine or anything. They were like, they put it, but
you wear a mask?
I wore a mask. I disinfected my seat. I used hands. So before this fucking COVID-19 nightmare, I thought hand sanitizer was the grossest thing ever. I didn't like the way it felt. I didn't like the way it smelled. I didn't like, if I could come up with a third rhyming to felt and smelt, I would. I didn't like the way it was dealt. And it was, now I use it like it's water. Like, it's crazy, but I took as many precautions as I could. They're flying. How about the fact that there still is middle seats? Remember this whole rumor they're taking out middle seats on airlines? Right, my business partner flew from Florida back to San Diego, and she said the flight was packed. Now that's American Airlines, but she said no, like people not wearing masks, going like, I don't know about this mask, man. I try to think back to 3 months ago when we were also freaking flipped out about this mess.
Yeah.
And it's hard to even remember now. Like some people really take it seriously and stuff, but man.
Well, it seems like people have been letting their guard down, and there's no real drop off in. No. I mean, they're talking about second wave. As far as I'm concerned, we're not even done with the first wave right now. No.
So I feel a little guilty flying, but I had driven back and forth between San Diego and Sacramento 3 times back and forth. First time, breezy, easy, no one on the road. Second time, it's kind of a pain. Third time, I'm like, man, that kind of wasn't fun to do that. It's 509 miles from door to door for me. And I made it one time in like 6.5 hours. I don't know. I have to be back in San Diego on Thursday for an event. Yeah. Cause it's a webcast event, but I still need to be there for it. And so I was like, man, drive up and back in 6 days. It seems like a pain. So, I don't know. I don't know. I'll let you know if I started getting a little feverish.
Okay.
I mean, I get feverish just looking at you when we're doing this.
Who doesn't?
But yeah, no, it's a thing.
Yeah.
All right. What did we learn today, Steve? We learned, I'm not going to go in order because I'm going to start with Little Meadowlark is a lot cuter than Lark Sparrow. Oh, you know what? I forgot to ask. So one of my favorite hotels in Palm Springs is Sparrows, the Sparrow. Is there sparrows in Palm Springs, do we think, in the desert area?
I'm sure there's some sparrows there sometimes for sure.
Yeah, give a shout out to that place. Holy moly, that place is awesome.
But I'm pretty sure the Lark Sparrow only migrates through there and does not either breed or winter there. So
okay, all right. This
particular guy now.
All right, you know how I love writing your quotes down. So here's your quote from the beginning.
Oh, geez.
The Lark Sparrow. I don't know. It tickled me. They're a little bit on the big side. A little bit on the big side. It might be one of the best phrases I've heard in a long time. Yeah. That's very Yogi Berra-ish.
I mean, I can turn a phrase like not too many people. I think that's true.
They're a little bit on the big side. Chestnut patch. We talked about that. They have a long tail. They're seed-eating birds, but they still will eat insects. They have a seed-eating bill. Do I have that right? They have a seed-eating bill, but they still will eat insects. These guys will see multiple presidents in their life, potentially.
The lucky ones.
The lucky ones who are on the long side of that, unless Donald Trump decides that he's not leaving and he's going to do
then they're the unlucky ones.
Third term. All right. What am I describing? Hop, tail feather spin, wings to the ground, and then a gift. What am I describing right there?
Hokey pokey.
Yeah, the hokey pokey. We're talking about mating rituals, people. If you missed the first part of the episode, clutch size, 3 to 6 eggs, 1 to 2 broods per season. We don't talk about broods. We don't use the brood a whole lot. In this. And then we learned about our base off. We went into excruciating. And as Steve and I, every time we listen to it and discuss it, we talk about Seinfeld. It inevitably goes into Seinfeld because how does it not? And then we got into a little COVID flying, a little fly the COVID skies, the friendly skies. Craziness. If you're a betting man, which do you going to give a hint on? I guess we can't really. We can't predict. Should we write in an envelope and seal it? Our prediction
for what?
You have a prediction. The baseline. Yeah. Oh. I mean, I'm not gonna give you who. I honestly do not have a favorite. Mm-hmm. I honestly don't. I guess I do have a prediction based on people and like, but what do you have a favorite or a prediction? That's what they call dead air, people. So that was Steve. That was Steve doing a lot of head nodding. So we're learning.
You might want to catch us.
We're learning. Yeah, we're learning.
I think I have a slight favorite.
Oh.
I don't think that's going to really hold with my prediction.
Oh, so your favorite,
I think it's going to lose.
Might. Do you think Vegas will take odds on this?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I could see it on the big board.
Yeah, definitely.
Man. Oh, yeah. Man.
So you might want to go lay some money down and get some free drinks in Vegas.
I'm on my second vodka rocks and I'm starting to feel pretty good. Yeah, no, by the end of these episodes, I really start to get a little loose. All right. I think we've said it all, man. I think we've done it all. I think we said it all.
Well, let's give a little preview. So next episode.
Oh, good memory. Good memory. Episode 15. Are you going to hint? Why don't you give a hint? Do you want to give it away? I mean, we've talked about it. We've actually already mentioned.
Yeah, I think we should give it away.
All right, go for it.
We're going to go to, it's going to be a Forgotten Facts quiz show.
Wait.
Facts that I forgot.
You broke up. Start over. Because I didn't know you're combining these two things in one.
Yeah, well, this isn't the quiz show idea.
Okay, what is this?
It is a quiz show. It's different. In this one, you don't have to dredge up facts that I've already said, and remember that. This one, you have to pick out the one that's an actual forgotten fact, and one that I just made up off the top of my head.
I think I'm going to be pretty good at this.
You know what?
I have a good memory. I have a decently good memory.
But they're facts
forgotten facts. Oh, yeah. So I'm predicting whether that's a real thing or
I just made it up, or if it's really something that I forgot to mention.
Yeah, man, I like this. I like this idea quite a bit. I'm excited. Yeah. I'm going to insist that it's also the shots episode.
I agree.
Okay. So we'll figure that out for people.
Yeah.
Man, we really made people hang on an extra couple minutes. Do you think?
And most of them probably shut it off a while back.
All right, man. Well, this is another fun one. Another good one. We're really doing it for all our listeners. And then just another call out. Anyone who knows anyone at the Miller Coors organization who wants to sponsor us, I'll stop drinking everything else. I will stay true to my first love and just not even wander anymore. If you guys just Miller Lite will just, come through on that. So someday it's going to happen. Well, let me ask you this question. If Height came to us before Miller Lite and said, we're going to lock you in on a multi-year deal,
I'm going to be straightforward with you here, Greg. I will lock in any beer with very few exceptions if they come to us first.
All right, man. It's a race then. We're really hoping. We're really making this a competition. All right. Well, I hear our music coming in, man. Have a great night.
You too.
See you, buddy.
Take care.